Well, I really think that Buckminster Fuller's theory of environmental conditions could easily be applied to the problem of interurban architecture, particularly as it applies to the high-density population areas in the Northeast.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Jeff.
Well, I really think, my real theory is that the environmental conditions here in the rec room would be absolutely perfect for the Fleetwood Mac. Let's go listen to him.
Baby, if you got the rock.
Back in the 60s, if you wanted your party to swing, you had to have a British rock group. And nobody swung like Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac.
So make me a dig and roll. Yeah. So why don't you give it up?
In 1969, Peter Green was sitting on top of the world. In one poll, Fleetwood Mac were voted more popular than the Beatles. It was the heyday of the guitar hero, and Green ranked alongside Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix. He appeared to have everything: talent, looks, fame and fortune. American success beckoned. But while touring the West Coast, Green encountered the drug culture. After a few too many LSD trips, his world began to collapse. He decided to give away his money and retire from the music business. Things got worse. Green fell into a downward spiral of mental illness and has spent the last 25 years in and out of mental institutions. But now he's playing again and trying to put his life back together.
I stopped playing the guitar altogether. I'm practicing all the time now, practicing just for pleasure. As I'm creeping up to your mama, it's getting better and better all the time. And I won't stop now. I know I'll never stop now. I'm a steady rolling man. I've been for many years, I know.
Last year, he met an old friend from the 60s. This man, Builder Nigel Watson. So began the most unlikely comeback in the history of rock music.
He was very frail at first. The guitar playing on that was non-existent. And I would, finish work and go and have a practice with him, and it's amazing to see how far he's come back.
Nigel got me to start playing again, so I'm playing. I'm really enjoying it now. I'm learning everything that I used to overlook. Nigel was always a very basic guitar, kind of ordinary, not flash guitar player. I mean, blinding,
I'm quite proud of the fact that there's loads of guitarists 10 times better than me about, and it happens to be me who's playing with one of the greats.
To complete Peter's new band, a couple of seasoned professionals were drafted in: bassist Neil Murray and veteran drummer Cozy Powell. Neil and Cozy have played together over the years in heavy metal bands like Black Sabbath. Peter has called his new band the Splinter Group. Today they're rehearsing at the upmarket Stanbridge Studios.
You enjoyed the food, didn't you?
Loved it, yeah. It's fabulous.
Soon he will play his first concert in years. It's the beginning of a long road back.
Probably mango chocolate.
Probably lime pickle.
Yeah, that's what I'm for.
Cheers, chaps.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good health.
Good luck.
Good well.
Bit nice. I took too many LSD trips, and somehow I fell into a pit of some kind. I was hearing voices, I was smashing things and throwing things out of my front door into this kid's playground. The police came and they said, did you do that? I said, yeah. I said, yeah. And they said, do you want to go into hospital, Long Grove Hospital? So I said, yeah, I think I will, because I'm too frightened to go back into that house. Because all I do is hear voices until they make me smash things. Well, the doctor who took me there said I was suffering from schizophrenia. I had a slight schizophrenia, he said. And he said, I think you're suffering from schizophrenia. I said, I gave me ECT as well, electric convulsion treatment or tests. They gave me that as well, quite a few times. I didn't want it. I said, I don't want that, whatever it is. And I don't know what they did to me, but you go to sleep and you wake up and it feels like it's kind of different. It feels different, you know. That's what that stuff does, I think, you know. It gives you some right old damage, some right old ordinary bashing damage, you know. So you got one now, you've got two lots now, you know. The one you had before and then you got another one, you know. Well, it sounds like you're saying one man will invent another man, will invent another man or something like that. It doesn't need to, you know.
The band are on the road travelling to Buxton to play the Alexis Korner Memorial Blues Festival. It's their first gig. Peter's return to playing live is being carefully guided by Mitch Reynolds and Stuart Taylor. Mitch is guitarist Nigel's sister and takes care of the personal side of Peter's comeback. Peter now lives in Mitch's house in Croydon.
I'm a close friend of Peter's for the last 30 years. I don't want to see any more bad things happen to him. And if I can help Peter to improve the quality of his life now, then that's what I intend to do.
I suppose so, you know, he couldn't bear to part with my percentage.
But what we're going to do is look at the multi-track recording of last night, let's mix it down and maybe have a look at some film footage we've got to go with it and present that up to the two record companies.
Taking care of the business side of things is Stuart Taylor, an old-school music publisher who started life as a guitarist with the Tornadoes back in the early 60s. This comeback concert in Buxton has been thoughtfully chosen by Stuart and Mitch. Peter and Splinter Group will be able to try out a short set away from the glare of media attention, playing to a small receptive audience of blues enthusiasts.
Quite nice, this one. Yeah. Nice and light. Well, I didn't want Pete to have anything too heavy before he goes on stage.
This is a quiet start to a campaign that Stuart and Mitch hope will build to a headline engagement at the Guildford Folk and Blues Festival later in the summer.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know this is a very, very special evening for all of us. The man that I'm about to introduce on stage hasn't played on stage in this country for
Does he want a towel down there?
I don't know what we're greatly regarded, but we please welcome on stage the legendary Peter Green, ladies and gentlemen.
Enjoy yourself. Have a good time.
With
well done. Oh, hi, Brett.
On the feather. Neil.
Thanks, Neil. Did
you hear yourself?
No, it's great.
Did you get up a lather go?
No, not the audience. Loved you,
not playing enough.
Yeah, nice audience.
Loved all of you.
Very receptive.
Despite the crowd's warm reception, not everyone thinks the concert was a success. Cozy Powell worries that Peter's not yet ready for this kind of public exposure.
Things that could have been better.
He makes a quick exit.
I was very pleased for Peter that he got such a fantastic reception, because it just proves that people are really waiting to hear him play again. I thought the actual performance was a bit disappointing. Nigel's covered Peter as best he can, but I mean, again, he's not used to that situation. If Peter had 4 beginners, it would be a shambles. I'm not saying it isn't a shambles at the moment.
No, it's
People's expectations of Peter are higher than he's able to deliver at the moment. But Peter's well-being and mental state has got to come first, and the commercial side of it has to come second. And unfortunately, before it was the other way round.
It's flat. I have to beg people not to pressure me as well, you know, not to hurry me with decisions. That's the only thing. It can be dangerous.
He bought a house in Richmond and lived there alone, and I think that was probably the worst time for him, because he was alone, and he was hearing voices and he was hallucinating, hearing noises, felt very persecuted, and in fact was persecuted an awful lot by various people coming to the house. He was getting beaten up, all his possessions were being stolen, and he couldn't do a thing about it.
I wanted long fingernails, so I had long fingernails, quite long, but over an inch long, or about an inch long. All of them, all 10, look really good, very interesting. Not too feminine, you know, not too feminine.
I'd gone to look at some beautiful old cars in Wandsworth and was with some friends, and one of them said to me, there's a tramp following you around the showroom. And I'd been aware of somebody sort of out of the corner of my eye being there, but when I looked round and saw those eyes, I recognised Peter. And he'd been following me around for a good 15-20 minutes, but wouldn't talk to me because other people were there. So I went over to him and I said, "Oh, Peter, you know, what are you doing here?" And he said, "Oh, I'm just looking." I said, "Where have you come from?" He said, "I don't know." Well, I said, "Well, how did you get here?" "I can't remember." It just made me feel very, very sad. Very sad.
Back on the road, the team are taking the first tentative steps to negotiating a record deal. IRS Records have asked Peter to contribute a track to a tribute album of material by the Ventures, an early 60s American guitar group.
I spoke to Miles not 10 minutes ago, and he said, "When's he doing the Ventures track?"
When are we going to Ventures track, Peter? Which one is it? Was it Walk Down Run we're doing?
You should take Walk Down Run. You should take that one, because that is a great track, and I think it would really suit you. And
Walk Down Run will be all right for me.
Yeah.
So is that a definite?
That's a definite done deal.
Exchange a couple of faxes and then we'll get working.
Get in the studio and cut that.
And we'll cut it and produce it, and that'd be great.
But I mean, the other thing I guess is that obviously we're really excited at IRS Records here to have the possibility of doing a full length album with Splinter Group.
Well, we're sort of ready to go now. We've discussed it. We've got a fair amount of material, and in the time frame that's available to us, I think we can probably get started.
So I'll fax them to you tomorrow and then we can discuss them the day after and see where we go from there. Is that right?
Running around on the promotional treadmill, eh?
Yes, absolutely. We're just out and about.
But you left all that behind, right?
So indeed.
He's still recovering from that.
In the studio, recording the Ventures' Walk Don't Run, Cozy, who's producing the track, is finding it difficult to get a consistent performance from Peter.
Don't touch those dials.
My edit. So they're just a fraction.
Oh, no. Change the sound.
Oh, okay.
Give it some welly, Peter.
Yeah, give it a...
I don't know all that anymore.
Well, you've got to learn to.
Woodstock.
People want to listen to it with a bit of welly.
It might get better, not worse.
It might get worse.
Will you do me a favour? Will you do me just one more, like we just had it, just so as I can go between the two, and then you can do one as yours. Don't touch the tone, Gold's sake. It's not easy, but then again, it's a challenge. I mean, I've worked with a lot of guitar players. This is certainly the biggest challenge so far. How much I'll be able to do of it, we'll see. Time will tell. Watch this space, as they say.
I'm not all that satisfied with the production, so I don't know what to say, but I'm just trying a new thing, you know, where I just play the guitar and I don't overpower the producer. So I'm going to stand back and see what happens. I'm going to just play my instrument like the other boys in the group.
Stuart is on his way to meet Peter's music publishers to talk about Peter's old songwriting credits. As a white blues musician, Peter is concerned that the black American bluesmen who remain his inspiration may not be receiving their full dues.
I'm making sure that all my songs are not exact cuts or even riffs, phrases of other songs. So I'm going to have to cut them in.
You know, I wouldn't say he's been laying awake at night, but it's been bothering him. And where he thinks he's borrowed from an old blueser, and I said, well, what did you borrow? He said, well, a riff and a chord. I said, but Peter, that's not really borrowing. He said, no. But I know, but I'm worried about it. Right. So what he's going to do in the case of those songs is we're going to get the original and Peter's version, and we've got a panel which has got Cozy Powell, me, and a couple of people in it. And then we're going to play them both, and we're going to say, Peter, you haven't borrowed anything. Right. Yes, or well, you might be right there.
Peter is very unhappy with the production of the Walk Don't Run session. He thinks Cozy has mixed his own drums too loudly. Stuart, Peter and Nigel decide to take the tapes to a small studio in Acton to try to improve the sound.
We try with the drums down a fraction, so they're blending in, so they're not crashing away, you know.
Right.
It's not really a drum track. In the olden times, they always had the drums blended right in, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. The
bass drum and everything, you know.
Yeah, that's
the cymbals, everything. You couldn't hear it.
All you hear on those records, couldn't you?
What records?
We thought about putting harmonica on the drum break in the middle, which I think will work well. Peter plays harp, you see.
Yeah, right.
It's a bit of a well, you know, so on the drum break.
Yeah, very well.
Think of sea surf, sand shagging and shafting.
I like the last two. That's my favourite.
In that order, have a listen to a couple of other guitar performances and see what Peter thinks.
The Splinter Group are rehearsing again. The resourceful Nigel has fixed a deal for free time in a local tennis club in exchange for some building work. Relations between Cozy and Neil and the rest of the band are deteriorating, so Peter, Nigel and Stuart are rehearsing a couple of acquaintances as possible replacements.
They're quite simple songs, but they've got little catchy bits, you know.
Yes.
But the catchy bits ain't difficult to my way of thinking. If I can play them, anyone can play. That's what I think about it. That's what I think about it.
Fair dues. Well, let's do it tomorrow and see how the catchy bits go, shall we? Okay.
Okay. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, good.
Same time, same place.
Very good.
Although the newcomers coped with the catchy bits, Peter and Nigel decide against splintering the Splinter Group for the moment.
Peter seemed to be in a dream world all the time. He couldn't stay awake. I said to him, you know, why do you sleep so much, Peter? And he said, it's the medication.
Before I was just surviving like a worm or something, you know. Surviving like a worm, a mouse or something. You know. Even a mouse has has better time than I was having.
He's been off the medication for a year and he can think for himself, he can make decisions which he couldn't before, he can stay awake. Most importantly, he's been able to play again, been able to play his guitar. Peter accepts the fact that he will never be 100% mentally fit. I've spoken to Peter about if he hears voices that he must tell us. He seems to be able to cope with anything that he might hear in his head.
I still feel my state of mind is delicate. Sometimes it's all right. When I'm on my own, I'm liable to pick up a voice, but you can't see the person who's talking to you. I'm very familiar with the voices, about 3 or 4 different kind of voices. And sometimes they say kind of strange things. Well, they even say we're teaching you music, you know. And it's going to be hard. You're going to have hard times, but your music, you're going to really enjoy your music so much that you'll be neutralised to all the sort of, you know, the sort of the aggression or whatever it is you start to feel, because we're annoying you so much. So I don't know how the two things fit. I don't know why they can't just give me the good stuff. But they are mixing it in anyway, so then all kind of things happen. I live quite a wild life, you know.
It's rehearsal time again. This time, Stuart is in negotiation with the vicar's wife for the use of the local church hall in Limpsfield.
And when the actual ceremony was taking place, it stopped moving. That's fine.
And Nigel decide to carry on with Cozy and Neil after all. With the Make or Break Guildford concert looming, the band need to set aside their differences and pull together.
Powerful on the bridges.
No, that's only got to think of something.
Because I'm just trying to make the...
Yeah, just keep it through. Keep it quiet. Keep it quiet. Try it quiet.
All right.
Soft.
The band have got in another veteran, Spike Edney, to fill out the sound on keyboards.
No, that's when we die away.
This would suit your voice too.
It's only half time though.
The day of the Guildford Folk Blues Festival arrives, and another guitar legend, Eric Clapton, is among those out in force to see if Peter Green really is back.
Well, we're going to wander around.
The band are apprehensive, but confident after 2 days' intensive rehearsal. For the first time, they feel like a real unit.
Okay. The anticipation.
How many years have we waited for this? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Splinter Group featuring Peter Green.
Tonight he was actually very good. Yeah, he really did come alive. But it has been hard work. But I think it's getting there now.
All of a sudden, I feel that the whole band's moved into a different league.
To me, this is still very much the beginning.
Yeah, come back in a year. See what it's
exactly.
like. Right?
I love playing, I love appearing. Because once doors start opening, one door, it could... Maybe I only needed one door to open. Maybe I only needed that, you know. And I won't stop now. I know I'll never stop now. It's really great, you know.
There we are. We will all be able to say, I was there.
Thank you for our freedom. Thank you.